Welcome everyone. This is episode 3 of your wrestling vidcast podcast, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to refer to it as. And this is called Cleanpin. Cleanpin episode 3. And what we do is we talk wrestling here. Kind of a way to catch up on all the wrestling news that I was not able to catch up on earlier in the week. So all my wrestling videos that I have done should be linked down below here, if I didn't mess it up and if I'm able to do it quickly in time. I discussed NWA Power. I discussed Tessa Blanchard, Brian Cage. I discussed Jim Cornette resigning. I discussed some old school Survivor Series, so on and so forth. So it's all down there, and we cover everything here for the most part. WWE, ROH, AEW, whatever, NWA, whatever comes to mind, Impact. So let's go on. Let's have some fun. This is not meant to be done professionally. As you can see, this is done through my cell phone on a camera as I'm making my commute back home from work. So let's talk a little bit of that wrestling, shall we? I think one of the bigger news items for me, it's just kind of still has to do with NWA and their show, NWA Power. Now, and I was thinking about this to myself. At first, I thought to myself, would losing Jim Cornette, would that hurt? Could that be a big deal for NWA in the long haul? And for their broadcast, NWA Power. And carefully thinking about it, it has potential to really affect them. And after I'm really thinking about it, because you kind of realize that NWA, how they portray the whole presentation, is an old school feel. And Jim Cornette was kind of like that gateway into the old school. He was that gateway. As you could see, if you follow the YouTube page of NWA, the Facebook page of NWA, that was evident that a lot of people were there because Jim Cornette kind of made it feel old school by his commentary, some of his commentary, which is what hurt him at the end of the day. Look, he has some. If you look at that comment that he made, just as a side note, he has used that comment back in '86, back in '95, back in 2000, early 2005. So he has used this line numerous of times. What were his tensions? I don't know. But it's something that he's used a gazillion times. I gave you my thoughts in that video down below. But really, where does NWA go from here? Who would NWA, I think, use to replace Jim Cornette? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like going through the names. And just based on that niche that NWA has right now, who could they use that's out there? Who is like NWA that's still in the game? Or not in the game, or would still be relatively able to do commentary? I think of, Larry Zbyszko to me stands out as someone that maybe could do commentary for the NWA and still get that old school vibe, that old school connection. Now, I know Zbyszko was more of a wrestler in the NWA there, but Zbyszko comes to mind. I know Taz is out there. Taz is a great. I liked him as a commentator. I liked him, but I don't see him, with that like that old school feel. Just based on references and in the past when he was on commentary too. Another name I'd probably throw out there. I don't know what his current situation is. I don't think it would work because I think he is on a Legends deal, and that's JBL would be a good guy that could probably do commentary for NWA and give that old school presentation. I think JBL would be able to do that with some of his references that you've heard before on SmackDown. Yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, like, who else is out there? Mike Tenay, perhaps. I mean, Scott Hudson. No one really sticks out to me to fill that row. To fill that row, besides Larry Zbyszko and JBL, who I think is probably under some type of WWE Legends deal. Those are the two names that just stick out to me. It's going to be key. It's going to be key, that second voice there on commentary. Can you have like certain wrestlers do it? Kind of here and there. One would just kind of rotate wrestlers doing commentary, give that type of presentation. Colt Cabana, I'm sure is able to do it. He is he was a podcasting pioneer. He's able to talk, engage in conversation. I'm sure he would be able to do that. But is that really what the NWA fan is looking for? I don't think that's what they're looking for. I think they need some type of, because I just look at the YouTube comments and the Facebook comments, and it's 40-something-year-olds, 50-year-olds just reminiscing about the days when they were watching NWA, and Jim Cornette was that person that they identified. And it seems like a lot of these people haven't watched wrestling in quite some time, and now they discovered NWA when they used to watch, and Jim Cornette is that recognizable face, and now you don't have that. So how do you keep those group of fans, old school fans who haven't watched wrestling for quite some time, flock to the NWA? They're of older age, in their mid-40s, 50s. How do you keep them happy with Jim Cornette no longer around? And I think maybe Larry Zbyszko would be that best option. And he has done commentary before, if you remember, in WCW. So I don't know. I guess it's a wait and see. But I'm really high, like I've said before in prior videos, very high on NWA. WWE Backstage scene. It's the second appearance. It was the second appearance of CM Punk. This time it was more in detail, more in depth. And, CM Punk looked, just watching it on TV on FS1. CM Punk looked like he was genuinely happy to be there. He looked like he was relaxed. Clear, like he had no worries in the world, because as he stressed again, he works for Fox, not the WWE. So what he says, it's no filter, no, pretty much like he was saying no repercussion, because he works for Fox. Now, again, I would, I would take that comment with a grain of salt. I mean, CM Punk is not going to. I don't think it would fly where CM Punk. Now, to a point, CM Punk will definitely criticize the product, but to go on a total shit canning of the product week in and week out, I'm sorry, I just don't see that flying with the WWE. Listen, he's an employee of Fox, CM Punk, but I wouldn't expect these pipe bombs, these monstrous pipe bombs like a lot of people are expecting week in and week out, or when he is on the show. Guys, and come on, let's keep this in perspective too. A lot of people are saying, well, imagine if CM Punk, who's a Fox employee, signs with AEW. That would be pretty damn hysterical. But that is not going to happen. I don't see that. No way in happening. And I'm calling it now. I am calling it now. Listen, I don't care what anyone says. I am calling it now. I said baby steps with WWE and CM Punk. But I'm calling it now. When Renee Young asked CM Punk if he has any intention of coming back to the ring, let's say Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, yada, 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 he didn't answer that with a definite no. So there is a chance. He then, that will be sooner than later. He then goes on to say, many things. He hated the Baron Corbin segment on SmackDown from the week before. He also said that Seth should stay off Twitter. Meaning Seth Rollins, stay off Twitter. After that comment was made, Seth Rollins tweeted, and he did not get off Twitter. He said something to the extent, what did he say? Is that all you got, or something to that extent? Or lame, or something, or a good one, something. Yeah, I mean, Seth Rollins, on Twitter, and I think what CM Punk was alluding to the fact that, CM Punk, over the last couple of weeks has been looking like a fool on social media with his interactions. I think with CM Punk, I think with Seth Rollins, the crowd has obviously turned on Seth Rollins, and I think it's almost for the fact of Seth Rollins seems to be uncool now for whatever reason. He was cool before, and he has lost that coolness factor. I don't know, like the guy could wrestle. Definitely could wrestle. You remember Monday Night Rollins? I think just like a lot of fans think that he has become almost like a gimmick. Burn it down. I'm going to keep on fighting. I've been knocked down. I'm going to conquer It's just been like a gimmick, and it's the same thing that he says over and over. And he's just stale, and he comes off the wrong way on social media. Sometimes, when you say something, it's different than when you type it, I guess. So maybe he doesn't mean for it to come out the way it does on social media, but it does. And the fans have turned on him, from when he made his remark to Will Ospreay, and he's definitely in a stale part of his career right now. Oh, another part of that is CM Punk is like, stop tweeting me, which is why when CM Punk is saying fight me, even when when Rollins is tweeting at Punk, fight me, even when he's tweeting that for Rollins, it doesn't sound cool. I don't know why. I don't know. He's just stale. He has become like the new Roman Reigns, how Roman Reigns was a year or two ago. And that's why I say I'm calling it, as outlandish as it may be. This back and forth between Seth Rollins will lead to a Seth Rollins CM Punk match very, very soon. And CM Punk will make his way out on SmackDown very, very soon. Trust me. The fanboy, the CM Punk mark in me just wishes that will happen. One could only dream, I guess, right? But, that WWE Backstage, pretty good. Pretty good. I like how they're presenting it. They wanted to make it look like it's like a legitimate sport up there with, their Fox's. Fox is covering it, like ESPN will cover, that's how the presentation, they're making it seem big, grandiose, like an insider thing, when talking inside football, baseball, that's what they're trying to do. And the ratings actually went from, I think, 49,000 to, I think it was like 180,000 this week. And WWE, apparently, the rumor is that WWE was still upset about that. They expect the ratings for that show to be around 250,000. Now that's 250,000 on a school night, work night at 11 o'clock hour on FS1. A little bit, Now, do I think, I could tell you this much, I think because a lot of people have not seen really or heard from CM Punk in 6 years, that whenever they do announce that CM Punk will be on the show, because he's not there every week, I believe, and believe me, they will make that announcement. Fox will definitely make that announcement. That way, you know ahead of time to tune in. That's when those ratings will be at that mark, for the first couple episodes. But then, I don't know. I just don't see that show doing even 180,000 like they did. After a while, everyone's going to be used to seeing CM Punk after the first few episodes, and I think it's going to die down again. Because it's just hard with that type of a time slot on that type of a channel. When a lot of people are already planning their day, for planning their next day, planning their meals, getting the kiddos to bed. So it's hard to get that rating that they expect of 250. Speaking of Twitter, staying on Twitter rather, CM Punk, when he made his announcement, to tune in to FS1, because he will be on WWE Backstage this past week, he goes on to explain that, types that, he sends out the tweet that he's pretty much unfiltered, that he's going to be unfiltered, tune in what you never know what he's going to say, and he tagged Tony Khan and Vince McMahon, among others, and Renee Young, and I forget who else, but those were the main things. Tony Khan being a Tony Khan and Vince McMahon being the main thing. Now, and that then kind of led into a big to-do on Twitter. What was CM Punk's intention by tagging Tony Khan in a subject matter that really has nothing to do about it? CM Punk is on a WWE show. WWE or FS1, for that matter, or Fox. Well, CM Punk going into detail or even mentioning AEW, I think is a hard no. So I just don't see, how or what was the point of mentioning, Tony Khan in a tweet. All right, was it to troll him? Possibly, and I think that's what it was. Was it to get the AEW fans to possibly tune in to a WWE show? Hey, a lot of fans of AEW are following Tony Khan. Get that @ in there. You see CM Punk tagging Tony Khan. Tony Khan's followers, AEW. Oh, wait, CM Punk is back. Maybe let's take a peek what's going on WWE Backstage. Oh, such and such is the champion now. Do you have such and such on NXT? You know what? Maybe instead of watching Dynamite, I'm going to watch NXT. Could that have been CM Punk's intention? Maybe. But for whatever his intention was, it did its job. It created a buzz. It was WWE Backstage was trending. So they did what they wanted to do. But I think ultimately, Tony Khan and his interaction with Randy Orton fell for the trap. They got all wound up. Exactly what might have been the intention of CM Punk. Or maybe what even wasn't. But, when you're Tony Khan and you're going back and forth with Randy Orton, I think it's, where Tony Khan responded to CM Punk, and he said, oh, kind of like the whole Saudi Arabia thing where people were stranded, and that turned out to be a fake story. Randy Orton then jumps in, and I don't blame Randy Orton. He is defending his company. He just resigned with them over a fake story that Tony Khan is trying to keep on pushing. So, Randy Orton had every right doing what he did. And, he then brought up a fake story against his father. And that should have been, the touche part of it. A touche part of it. But, but Tony Khan didn't see that. And he goes on, and, there it is. Hook, line, and sinker. I think Tony Khan, when he needs to stay off this Twitter battle, with WWE and its wrestlers, because he will look like, he's starting to look like how Dixie Carter looked like with TNA in some instances. That's how Tony Khan is looking, especially when you do not have your story straight. You just make yourself out to look like a fool. And I think ultimately, what the buzz, CM Punk wanted to do is get a buzz going. People will turn in, and he got the buzz going. Back Tony Khan, and Tony Khan, hook, line, and sinker, was kind of taken to the woodshed by me, in my opinion, by Randy Orton, and kind of you need to stay off the Twitter and let the wrestlers do it amongst themselves, because you kind of look foolish bringing up a story that's not even true, just to throw anything, and for what reason? Now, granted, I don't think CM Punk should have been doing that. There's no need for that, right? But I guess the more publicity, the more news about yourself, the better, I guess. AEW Dynamite this past week. Scorpio Sky. Now, see, I don't. This is like the part of me again that just to critique things. A couple of things from AEW Dynamite. Scorpio Sky will challenge Chris Jericho for the championship. Now, we all know that there is no way that Scorpio Sky will definitely win this title, right? I think we're on that same wavelength. But if wins and losses matter and all this stuff, how is Scorpio Sky getting a title shot? Again, AEW is claiming that they're different, and I'm nitpicking, I'm going back and forth, with this and in so many different ways. But how do wins and losses matter if Scorpio Sky is not even a singles wrestler? He is a part of a tag team, and it's a 3-man tag team. It's not even a 2-man tag team. So they're tag champs. He's not a singles wrestler. So how is he getting a title shot? Nice to see 50-something-year-old Billy Gunn in the Battle Royal. he might be like, the AEW version of Kane, who always seems to be in everything. Every once in a while makes his appearance. Legend. Hey, listen, Billy Gunn, being in there gets a good pop. I don't know how he's able to keep that name. Did he trademark that name? But when you look at Billy Gunn in that ring, who's still in great physique, just so you have a clearer idea, just he looks like towering over everyone that was in the ring. He looks jacked. He looked like he was a 7-foot monster compared to all these other wrestlers, just so you have an idea, comparison of how wrestlers are now versus how they were before, for the most part. But nice to see Billy Gunn in there. MJF going up against Hangman Page for a ring. I forget what the ring is called, but pretty much they were in a battle royal. Those two were the last two, so the last two will square off the following week for a ring. The way the characters are, if I were to give my prediction, MJF and Hangman Page. Hangman Page is like a renegade, a cowboy, a guy riding on a horse. MJF portrays this cocky, arrogant, like a kind of like a D-bag. So just based on the character, I could see that ring matching with MJF's character. I don't see a renegade cowboy and Hangman Page wearing a ring. So I think MJF is going to win that next week. Overall, it was a good Dynamite, good showing. Certain things I still don't get, and I don't understand. I don't understand the Dark Order. I'm trying to. I don't understand the Dark Order whatsoever. NXT, great show. Great show as well, too. This past NXT, just some thoughts there. Never understood, when wrestlers are invading, when wrestlers are attacking, they're supposedly showing up unannounced, like no one knew that they would be there. How are they playing their ring music? How is their ring music being played? Can someone please explain that to me, please? I liked now with NXT. I liked the revival match. The revival was, they were a thing in NXT. And then when they made the roster, they really just weren't, never really caught on. The revival against Undisputed Era, people were saying that it's the tag team match of the year. So, and it just kind of just goes to prove and why, NXT being on the USA Network is a longer project as well. Like, I don't know why everyone expected that they should automatically be winning in the ratings, because it just goes to show you that the type of reaction that Revival get in NXT and get on the compared to the main roster, it's night and day. A lot of people that watch SmackDown or Raw do not watch NXT, and now NXT it's back on. It's on cable TV. It's no longer on the network. So I think this being on NXT does help the Revival in some way. But certain wrestlers would be better suited, I think, in NXT. And being in NXT, nothing wrong with that. Like Fandango and Breezango, they're fine NXT. So Revival would, I think, flourish on NXT, but the damage might have been a little bit too late with that. So that's just another thing I wanted to bring up from NXT. I think about that. I think that's all that we're going to cover this week. I'm going to do a Survivor Series video out there in the next, put it out there the next day or two. Other wrestling topics too, I'm sure, as they come about. This has been Cleanpin number 3, episode 3. Check out my other wrestling videos down below. Hey guys, and I hope all is well, and I look forward to speaking to you guys very, very soon.